Good morning, great morning, wonderful morning, spectacular morning, outstanding morning, magnificent morning, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious morning. Yes, again, the beautiful reminder of choice that you have, that I have, that we all have. It's such a wonderful way to start off the day with that beautiful reminder that we can shift how our life's going to be simply by shifting how we think. Remember, you become how you're thinking most of the time. You become, in terms of your life, your results, your outcomes, based from what's moving around in your mind most of the time. And what's moving around in your mind most of the time is what we call your paradigm. It's your beliefs, your habits. And the point with regards to that is that's what delivers the outcomes. And if you don't like it, you can change that by controlling the narrative inside. And that's what we do here at Elevitality. That's what Dolly and I have been working on diligently to help other people to understand. We've been studying this beautiful gem here, As a Man Thinketh Out from the Heart. And by the way, if you don't have a copy of this, make sure that you do get a copy of it. Get this specific copy. And then when you get it, study it, underline it, highlight it, even memorize it. But most importantly, use it. See, it's through that use, through that conscious use of applying this information, that you can shift the thought processes that are running in you automatically. And then from that proceeds the life. And you're going to find that line when we get into Out from the Heart by this beautiful man, James Allen. So make sure you do get a copy of this. Now, before we proceed into this call, a reminder for you is about our event that's coming up on Saturday called Emergence. It's happening at 1:11 p.m. PDT. And we invite you to come along for that beautiful journey where we will help you to see a process of how to implement what we're sharing with you easily. And it's beautiful because it works amazing. So make sure that you do register and also invite someone to come along with you as well. Invite someone that you care about, invite people that you do care about, because the world needs to hear this information. All right, so are you ready? Shall we dive into this? Shall we move into where we left off? I think so. I think it's time to go there right now. So here we go. All right, now we're gonna go into it from this paragraph, which is what we read last. And we're going to emphasize how the power is in you. And the way he says this is that man is always the master, even in his weakest and most abandoned state. But in his weakness and degradation, he is the foolish master who misgoverns his household. When he begins to reflect upon his condition, in other words, what's happening in his life, and to search diligently for the law upon which his being is established, he then becomes the wise master, directing his energies with intelligence and fashioning his thoughts to fruitful issues. Now let's go to this very first line. Man is always the master. Man, woman, you, me. Why is that true? Well, because we have what's called conscious thought. Sit in that for a moment. You have what's called your greatest power, which is called agency. See, you can accept, reject ideas, you can originate ideas. And because of that, that's why he's saying this. He's not talking about you in the flesh. He's talking about you as a thought evolved being living in this flesh, of which you can think what you please. And if to think is to form, you can form what you please. Now, sit in that for a moment. You have your beliefs, you have your habits, which run automatically, but you can override it. You can override it with different ideas and impress upon your subconscious mind, which is a loyal servant. Remember, it's not a loyal servant to you, it's loyal to what you've made important. See, but you can impress upon it anything, which will then lead it to proceed and adjust your outer world to be in harmony with whatever that is. See, the issue is not about whether or not you are the master of your life because you are. Why? Because you can think what you want. It's a matter of whether or not you're using that. I think about the implications here when it comes to changing the results of your life. Remember, as within, so without. The within is ceaselessly becoming the without. And you can make it be whatever you want to be. And when I say it, I'm talking about the within. See, that in itself, when you connect with that, reveals it all. Remember, you don't have to consent to things as they are. You can claim you as the master. And then from there, evaluate. It's so funny because here he talks about that here. You know, when someone says, "Nope, I'm no longer going to be the foolish master," which means you're just being run by your life's being run by your paradigm. You remember that statement that I shared with you? You're either a slave to your imaginings or a master of your imagination. But see, when an individual does open up their mind and starts to reevaluate, see, he says it here, and to search diligently upon the law which is being established, which his being is established. When you start to look at the cause for why things happen, and if you open your mind and start to test it, then he becomes the wise master, directing his energies with intelligence and fashioning his thoughts to fruitful issues. In other words, he starts to shift how he's thinking. See, that's what you're doing as you're here. Now, such is the conscious master, and man can only thus become by discovering within himself the laws of thought, which discovery is totally a matter of application, self-analysis, and experience. Oh my gosh, what's the golden rule? Application, baby. And isn't it interesting how that's what he's talking about? He's pointing out how you can only understand this through the experience, which means you got to use it. And most people, unfortunately, they don't use it, which is why the results don't change. Now, think about that. Most people's results, they stay the same consistently over and over again. Things aren't changing. They have the knowledge, but why isn't it changing? Because they're not using the knowledge within. And that's what we're inviting you to connect with. That's what everything that we share here at Elevitality is all about. That's what differentiates us from what's out there overwhelmingly. We're not here about giving you information and telling you about all of this, even though you're hearing these calls and you're hearing that. We're really about helping you to see the importance of applying and then leading you to apply it, because what we want to see in you are the results. We want to see the changes in your outer world that you are seeking. And we understand that, okay, you got to use it, which means you're going to get uncomfortable. See, that's a good thing. But now, before we proceed into going deeper into this, for those of you who are watching this live stream and you're connecting to this and go, "Oh, wow, that's really good. I can use this in my life." And yes, if you do use this in your life, you will deliver some incredible outcomes. But if you're feeling the draw to what it is that we're sharing with you here and would love to have access to the remainder of this call and the replays, then do yourself a favor and go to elevitality.com and register for Master Your Mind, and also register for Emergence. You'll thank yourself later.